Sorry about my trying. So they stop their production here, right? When they stop their production here, ethically or socially, acceptable point, they are not producing enough to satisfy everyone's need. So there's the difference with all this excess capacity. So now my question is, excess capacity is good or bad? We'll talk about in coming slides, but let's just talk about the excess capacity stuff. Excess capacity is, we know that there is no excess capacity in perfect competition in the long run, right? We talked about there. The free entry results in competitive firms produced at the point where every total cost is minimized, which means when MC crosses the ATC at its minimum. And this point is called efficient scale. So there is excess capacity in monopolistically competitive firm in long run. So in monopolistically competitive firm, output is less than the efficient scale of perfect competition. So this excess capacity is good or bad? Let's talk about this. Meanwhile, you think about that, this excess capacity is good or bad? So you see here we have a markup over MC, because here price is equal to MC and here is price is greater than MC. So in long run, we have two differences, markup over MC and excess capacity. So I just explained everything to you guys, and here we go. This is a perfect question. That is, if we talk about the welfare of the society, then question comes, the outcome or the production of the monopolistically competitive firm or monopolistic competitive firm, is it desirable for the whole society? What is the answer? Faik, Osama.
I think monopolistic competition, I don't think so, because it's not efficient.
Not efficient. What does it mean? Not efficient means it's good for the society or bad for the society?
Bad, creates dead weight loss.
Good. Kim, do you agree with Faik? Can you?
Yeah.
Osama, Miria, Marilyn, Paulo, Jacob, David, Dijodi.
Yeah.
Because they are not producing enough for the whole society, because they are deliberately producing less. So monopolistically competitive firm does not have all the desirable properties of perfect competition, which is they are not good for society. So there is a normal deadweight loss. Why is that normal deadweight loss? Because we talk about that if we tackle this deadweight loss, we ended up spreading this deadweight loss to all the society. Why? Because when we tackle this deadweight loss, we have to pay the taxpayer money. And who is going to pay the taxpayer money? The whole society. Means tax is going to be increased and the burden going to be shifted to the whole society. So there's going to be subsidies, and subsidies also another burden on the taxpayers, another on the society. So we are distributing the deadweight loss to the whole society. So that's why we live with this normal deadweight loss. So there's a normal deadweight loss of monopoly pricing in the monopolistically competitive firm, because we charge markup over marginal cost, because price, we are taking the price that is greater than MC. So because firms are earning zero economic profit, lowering the price may cause losses and the government has to pay subsidies, and subsidies are going to be funded through increasing in taxes. That I told you, increase in tax going to be that the deadweight loss from this monopolistically competitive firm going to be distributed to the whole society. So it's better to live with this inefficiency of the monopolistically competitive firm, which means government should do nothing to tackle with this kind of deadweight loss. Right, guys? Any question?
Another question off topic, but does the excess supply relate to the theory, the Keynesian theory about the long run aggregate supply?
So this, basically, this is the name of excess capacity. that is not that they are producing more. It means they are, this is the other name is called shortage. So that you're talking about the excess capacity is that when they are producing here and the demand and the society require here. It is the opposite. The society require that you produce here, but you are producing here. As a company, you are producing here. It means you are creating demand. Short, right, Fike?
True, it's the opposite.
Don't go towards the excess. This is not the surplus. Excess capacity means you still have the capacity to produce more, but you are not producing more. So you took the exact lead, because I was talking about this. I was about to talk that this excess capacity, most students they talk about it as they are producing in excess. No, they have the capacity, but they are not producing on their highest capacity. They are producing less, which means there is a normal shortage in this kind of monopolistically competitive firms. Right, Faik?
Yeah, isn't that like the same with the Keynesian theory that like the economy can produce more, but they're not producing more. So when they want to grow the economic, like bring economic growth, they can do it easily because there's an excess capacity.
Yes, you are right. In that case, yes, you're right. And that theory also supports the law of demand and supply together.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
So let's talk about another way to talk about the monopolistically competitive firm, that they are socially inefficient. So, okay, let me read this idea. Another way in which monopolistically competitive firm may be socially inefficient is that the number of firms in the market may not be ideal one. There may be too much or too little entry as well. Now, this is very important point here. So why they charge price always greater than MC? Because we expect that there are several sellers, right? But maybe the firms, they are not up to that level. For example, the firms, the market required there must be 1,000 sellers here in order to implement efficiently the characteristics of monopolistically competition, the monopolistic competition. But the firms are 100. So they have some control over the prices, and maybe they can have, they are having a differentiated product, of course, not a similar product. So what do we mean by differentiated products? We talked about that any kind of change, whether smell is changed, whether color is changed, whether the packaging is still changed, right? So this, or whether the brand name change. So it means we have slightly different product, right? So if we talk about the externalities, so we didn't talk about this chapter. So I'm just going to go through here a little bit quick here, just to make you understand that what will happen, because this is not always bad, because people are also getting some value. So let's talk about in terms of externalities. So whenever a firm wants to enter the market with a new product, it considers only profit, yet it have two external effects. What are those? So whenever a firms want to introduce a new product, it has to, because customers are the same, right? The market is the same. So when they introduce a new product, what will happen? People have more choices, right? So we call this product variety externalities, which means because consumers get some consumer surplus, which is consumer benefit, from the introduction of a new product, entry of a new firm conveys a positive externality on the consumers. The new product, people have more choices, so they're going to be a value, they're going to be a positive effect on the consumer, that we are going to have more choices. And there is a business stealing externalities. So one product, one introduction of the product causes two things. Number one, product variety externalities, people have more choices. Number two, business stealing externality, which means because other firms lose customers because customers are the same. This is the fight of market share, right? So that's why we have every year we have new model. Okay, we have Apple 6 and then 7 and then 8 and then X and then 11 and then 12, right? Why is that? Because whenever they introduce a new phone to the market, they have positive or product variety externalities. People have more choices to buy. And then business stealing externalities. By introducing a new model, you are grabbing the Samsung customers, Huawei customers, or LG and other mobile customer to yourself as well. We call this business stealing externalities. So because other firms loses customers and profits from the entry of the new competitive firms of a new firm imposes a negative externality on existing firms. Right? So introduction of the new product, they can have both positive and negative point as well. Positive points are that the customer going to be benefited because they have more choices. The second point is that is negative, which is the existing businesses, they are going to lose or they have to fight for their customers, and in that case customers are going to be benefited. How? Competition increases, and when competition increases, price goes down. That's why introduction of the new product, the prices are high, and then after some time prices started decreasing. Right? Understand everybody? Jody?
Yes.
Okay. If you have any other question, you can ask, okay? Now, both of the externalities are closely related. Like I told you, the product variety externality arises because a new firm would offer product different from the existing firms. They are going to have a new camera installed, IS stabilization, new features like that, right? The business stealing externalities arises because new firm causes reduction in existing firms' profits as well. So in perfect competition, there is no identical products, and sorry, there is identical product, there is no product differentiation, so there is no externalities in perfect competition. Right? In perfect competition, there is no markup over MC. There is no excess capacity, plus there is no externalities. Right? Now, the word advertising. Now you would understand that which market right now we are in. Advertising. So when there are several firms competing for the same market, the customer market is the same, then they do advertisement.